And now we're back. Hey guys, welcome to the, there it is, the Badass Funcast podcast. Kicking a little bit different today. We're going live with special guests. Hey, Toe.
What up?
Huh? What? I know we big time now. We got King Sexy himself, Anthony Walker.
I decided to step off the throne for just a second.
Yeah.
Hang out with my boys.
We had to pull him away from doing UFC, so he's here, finally hanging out with us. So it's Asian, let him hang out with us. So yeah, Anthony, tell other people about yourself.
I'm Anthony Walker. I am a member of Sherdog.com, specifically Sherdog Radio Network. Host a couple shows there, do some board hopping. Big MMA, boxing guy. Work with these gentlemen at Box and Burn as one of the trainers. Good friends with these gentlemen. And they said, hey, Josh is somewhere getting his man bun treated.
There you go.
And that means I had to step in, fill in for my man. And here we are.
Here we go. Good. Antonio also great at Krav Maga, which I didn't even know was a thing until I met Anto. And he was showing us a few moves the other day. Insert clip here.
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, that'd be nice to have a little clip right there.
I've been told, kick it butt. But yeah, so tell us how you got involved with Krav Maga.
Well, actually, had been doing martial arts for a long time. Did some taekwondo, a little bit of kung fu, but it had been some years since I had really been involved with anything. And there was one incident where I was with my then girlfriend at Howard Homecoming. Shout out HU, DC in the building. So we were going down the street, and this guy tried to grab her hand as we're holding hands walking down the street. And needless to say, I'm a man with pride and a temper that raised my ire.
There you go.
And it was about to hit the fan, and he had like 4 other guys with him, and they were like, "What are you gonna do, little man?" And I was like, "Let's get it." And and I start going toward the guys ready to fight. She's pulling me back, and her best friend, and they just kind of made me think of something beyond the moment, and was like, "Stop, let's go home." And I stopped, I went home, but then later on I got pretty scared when I thought about it, and I was like, man, I was fully prepared to die as long as I took 1 or 2 of them out, but it's like, that's not really worth it. I want to be better prepared for a situation like that. So I started looking into other martial arts to try out. And there was a Krav Maga school that was not too far from me, and I figured, let me give it a try, and read about it in Black Belt magazine once or twice, and I figured, yeah, let me step in there. And I was very fortunate to get into a very good school with a very good instructor. Shout out to Chris Torres. So it was a good time, man. It was a great experience for me.
How about that? How'd you get to LA from DC?
I actually came here because of a relationship.
Oh, how nice.
How nice. Well, a former relationship.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. That didn't last too long when I got back out. So I got out here because of a relationship, and then once that split off, I just found other reasons to stay. And I was going to go back to DC, and I was determined, like, all right, going back to DC, going back home, because I really don't like LA so much as a city. I'm not a big fan of it. But I said, hey, I'm here. If I leave, I'm never coming back. Yeah. So let me give it a couple of months. And in that couple of months, started a podcast with my boy Jules called Fight Nights. And then we started gaining a little traction. And I was like, all right, I'll stay for this.
That's good. Fight Nights, tell us more about that one.
So Fight Nights was the original thing that started me into podcasting. My buddy and I met watching UFC 185. And we were gathered around talking about it with a couple friends, and then everybody just gathered around us to listen to what we were saying for like another hour after the event was over. Yeah. Happened again when we saw another fight. Happened the third time when we saw another fight together. And then we was like, hey, let's just start a podcast. Let's record our conversations, put it out there. We put it out there. We started having a little traction in Brazil, oddly enough.
That's where it always clicks.
Yeah,
that's where our main group is from. Our main viewer base is Brazil.
It was crazy. Like, we started getting all these comments in Portuguese on our Facebook page, and I had no idea what anybody was saying, but apparently people liked us.
Right.
And then I had a buddy named Todd Martin, who's a writer for Sherdog.com and been there for years. We had been in contact after he graduated. Just stayed in touch with one another, and he heard the podcast, he liked it, and then he put TJ DeSantis, who's the program director at Sherdog Radio Network, put him onto it, and we linked up and started. We added Fight Nights to Sherdog some months later, And then once Fight Nights was pretty much discontinued on Sherdog, they retained me. And, you know, I've been hopping around from show to show and got credentialed for UFC 214. I've just kind of bouncing around and just getting my feet wet in MMA journalism. So been a great experience so far.
What'd you think about UFC 214?
Oh man, that was a hell of a card. I mean, just what it said on paper was amazing, and it's rare that the cards that come looking great on paper, you know, shape up to be something amazing when it actually plays out, and it did. And granted, I could be a bit biased. I mean, I was 15 feet away from the cage for the title fights, and to see, you know, great fighters like Chris Cyborg, to see John Jones, perhaps the greatest fighter of all time, Daniel Cormier, a shoe-in for second greatest light heavyweight of all time, and Tyron Woodley, to see these guys fighting so up close and to really feel what those hits were like, to see the action and everything, I mean, that was invaluable. I can't wait to get back out there, man, and get it in some more.
Yeah, so you said you got here because of a relationship.
Yes, I did.
Well, somebody else just took a big step in their relationship. Eddie here, guys, just got engaged. Shout out, I don't know if we should mourn or if we should clap.
It's a joyous occasion.
It's a joyous occasion. That's what he has to say.
All right, Jakey, we love you. I hope you don't watch this episode. So yeah, you got engaged. So just tell us like a little bit about that, the story behind that.
So when I moved out here for stand-up comedy, right? I did not want a relationship at all. The relationship was lasting. I met Jakey the first month I was here, within the first month. We met on the beach, made out that night, that's all it was gonna be. Right? We started hanging out as friends. Next thing you know, we were just together all the time. We couldn't be apart from one another. I was like, I'm about to get a relationship.
Yeah.
So, but finally around January, you know, like we settled in like, hey, look, this is a relationship. We're in something here. Let's go at it all the way. So since January, everything's been going great. We never fight. I'm at calm. I'm at peace all the time. She lifts me up. I lift her up. It's good. And she's the one. It's perfect. Everything's just nice. I knew it was time to do it, so I did it. Like, she's the one.
I think what was more significant about your story is how you got the ring. So tell the people about the actual ring story, because Jakey was actually when we came over this weekend, because we came by for it. She was telling me about how she thought the ring was sold and the back and forth for the ring. So just go into the details.
So like I said, we met on 4th of July last year, right?
Okay.
So 4th of July this year, we're in San Diego. Jakey works for a comedian, so she's an assistant for it, and so we're over at a show. The next day we meet up with her boss's family. Her aunt has a ring, right? She's showing off a ring. I got this for sale, and everybody's looking at me. Jakey fell in love with that ring. So I'm paying it off. That's never gonna happen. Yeah, I'm just joking around about it. But secretly, behind the scenes, I tell myself, if I'm able to pull off and get the money for this ring, that's a good sign. I get it. I worked hard. I found the money to get it. Got the ring, and I had to hide it for like a month or two, right? So her boss ended up saying, "Hey, my aunt called me. She sold the ring. It's gone." So Jakey's texting me, "Oh, she sold the ring. It's gone. Don't worry about it." I was like, maybe I can get one at Ross, you know? Little did she know that I had it. She really totally knew her off. So when she went to go open that box, it made it even more of like a surprise. It's the ring she wanted. Everything was perfect. Like all her friends were there. First thing we did when we met, we played that game cornhole. You know what it is with the sandbags and toss it in there. So.
Oh, that's my fiance actually right there. That's
That's hilarious.
You gotta love that
this show is all over the place.
Perfect time. So that's the way the world
There it
works.
is. There you go.
So I ended up getting that game, that cornhole game, so we could play. That's how I proposed. I hid the ring within the cornhole game. So when she goes to pick up the sandbag, she finds the ring. Boom, I'm right there.
Oh, nice.
Exactly what happened. Boom, it worked out perfectly. She found it. She was surprised. She was like, "What is this?" She saw the ring that she wanted, that she thought was gone and sold and lost for her forever. It was right there for her. And her face lit up. Right there, asked her to marry me. She said yes.
Thank goodness, because otherwise that would have been turtle.
I was like, how am I going to get that money back?
Like, oh, refund.
Yeah, so it was a beautiful occasion. I'm looking forward to what we have to come. Hopefully I get to keep watching fights.
Well,
hey, as long as she tolerates it, man, that's one thing I love about my woman, man. Yeah. She's big into fitness, so like she appreciates the fitness aspect of fighting, and then she knows it's such a part of my life and my identity that she'll never take that away from me. Now to the point where she actually looks forward to a lot of the fights.
Oh, nice.
She knows who the fighters are and stuff. And
must be nice. I wish my missus now could.
Someone's sleeping on the couch.
I think at the end of the day, it's good to find somebody. They don't have to be into it as long as they're supportive, understand what you like. That's all that matters. And
I think another good thing that you touched on too, man, as far as you two building each other up, like that's so underrated in a relationship, man. And I think we've all had experiences where you're with somebody that like tears you down or strips you of who you really are. But it's so refreshing, man, to be with somebody that actually encourages you to be a better version of yourself, and you encourage them in the same. And that sort of partnership, man, that's invaluable.
To be honest, it's affected me in all aspects. It affects me here at work. I'm more open. I'm more myself with her, so I'm more of myself here at work. I'm more myself on stage. I'm more myself in life. I have more confidence. And starting to see, like, I don't have to hide these little things about me. Like, if somebody embraces it, maybe not everybody will embrace it, but it's me that confidence to let it out. So it helps in all aspects of my life. And it's a very support that really get into a relationship.
It's crazy.
What do you mean?
It's crazy. The right woman will open up your life, and like in ways that you can't even imagine. So like I'll say that a lot of the success I've had lately with podcasting and with getting into journalism, which is not the easiest field to just jump into, the success that I've had on that, I know I wouldn't have it without a woman. I know. There's no way that I would have had the confidence, that I would have had the peace of mind to go about my day and do the necessary hard work it takes to get in these positions. It's like when you come home knowing that you're coming home to peace, that you're coming home to something supportive as opposed to a war zone or just like cold, stale, just emotionless. Like you can't live like that. You can't succeed like that.
Biggest word of that was peace. It's calm and peace. That's what I found. Especially now since I have proposed, I found even more of that.
That's good.
It's peace. Now,
you're not gonna miss
I don't have to worry about that.
You're not gonna miss the.
Hell,
but what about all the girls
on the scallywags out
there? What about all those girls, Eddie?
Maybe if I spend 75 on this dinner here and 35, maybe if I buy this drink, maybe she'll like it.
Damn, man, I'm with you on that all the way. Damn, man.
Oh, yeah,
man,
that.
especially in LA, dating in LA. Man, that's for the birds, man. Y'all can have that. Y'all can have that.
Anyway, more on that later on.
Yeah.
Let's touch back on the city.
So,
big weekend, you went to the fights.
That's right. That's right. So, the reason I was late to Eddie's thing was because I was at the Microsoft Theater, which I got to say, they really made it a nice event. Fred Lomachenko, Mariaga fight. It's a great card. A lot of the fighters were like unknown, but really good fights. Honestly, it was better than the main event. I think, okay, so about Lomachenko and Mariaga. I like Mariaga's game plan. He kept his hands up. He didn't take too much punishment. It got stopped because of a body shot. He couldn't continue. He got hit to the body pretty good. It was like a loud, you could hear it all the way in the back. He got hit to the body. Yeah. And you just knew that he was going to feel that, and he couldn't come back out of the corner. But I think what we starting to understand is that Lomachenko's got to either move up or he's got to fight better competition. That's all it comes down to is he can't keep dodging Rigondeaux, and he's got to start thinking about standing up to fight with Mikey Garcia. Meanwhile, somebody just ate it real bad on the deal. Wow. I tell you what, this would be the last time we record outside. My man just ate. I wish I could have seen this, but my man just ate it real hard. Anyway, Lomachenko got to get better competition, whether that means moving up and fighting some better fighters or taking the guys, Rigondeaux or Garcia, that's right in front of him right now. He can't keep fighting these journeyman guys who like potentially give him a fight, who show potential. at some point he's got to step up and take a big fight.
But he's still so new in his professional career.
That's true.
I mean, what has he had? What was he had, like 12 fights or something?
Yeah, he's got 9 fights, so he's now 9 and 1.
Not even.
Yeah, he's 9 and 1 professional. He's had 396. He's 396 and 1
as an amateur,
right? So there's that.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's why you don't do podcasts outdoors.
We are learning, guys. This is a learning experience for us. Even for you learning about us and about fight life, and we learning about podcasting outside.
Yeah,
And we learned it's not a good idea.
Highly unrecommended. Although the weather's nice out here.
It is. And I like this shot.
Yeah, this is a nice little angle right here.
And I like where we're at. Unfortunately, LA traffic's the worst.
Yeah, we're right in front of Lincoln Boulevard, which is like the busiest street in Santa Monica. So Lomachenko, he's got to take better fights. And really that all it comes down to. Like, he's great. We all consider him to be one of the pound-for-pound greatest of all time already. His skills are off the chart. The only thing we haven't seen is him get tested yet. And that's what we're waiting on, to see somebody actually push him and challenge him. Just see him get hurt. Just see him take a shot. Did you see
and
him
see how he responds?
Ducking body shots.
Yeah.
He ducked a body shot.
It's really unreal. His ability is... And again, like I said, the stature fighter, other than maybe 1 or 2 guys he's fought that have been high caliber fighters, they really haven't given him a fair fight. So we'll see what the future holds. Like I said, Bob Arum needs to go ahead and make the deal done with Rigondeaux or with Mikey Garcia, who I think could really,
that would
Mikey,
be something,
I think
man.
is too,
because his fundamentals are so serious, man.
So
like
technically sound.
Because your man that fought Lomachenko Saturday, with
Mariaga.
Yeah. I mean, like you said, he had the right game plan. It's like a guy who fights as unorthodox as Lomachenko and does a lot of weird things. You just got to fight that with fundamentals,
right?
And you just keep your hands up. You throw a jab, and you throw something else behind it, and it's like, aside from that, there's really not much else that you can do to figure out a puzzle like that.
Yeah.
And Garcia showed, man, against Bronner. If anybody's got a lock on fundamentals, man, Garcia's the guy.
Yeah. He just was unfazed. I say, in the same way Lomachenko hasn't been pushed, I haven't seen anybody take Garcia out of his game plan. He gets the game plan, he sticks to it, he executes it perfectly. Like everybody says, fundamentally sound, sharp jab, and always comes back to his face, never leaves himself open. What's funny about the 2 fighters that people are clamoring for him to get in the ring with, they think Rigondeaux is too small. He usually fights at 118, and Lomachenko's at 130. Then Mikey Garcia has fought all the way up to like 147. So obviously he's bigger. So he'd have to come all the way down to 130 to fight Lomachenko. Or Lomachenko would have to meet him somewhere at 137, 135, somewhere in the middle. So it's really a strange dynamic, but at this point, Lomachenko actually needs a fight. I was at the Microsoft Theater, and it wasn't even packed. It wasn't a sold-out venue, and that's not even Staples or like Vegas. So he's not even selling out one of the smaller venues in LA, which is a major market.
Major boxing market.
It's a
huge boxing market. Yeah,
which says a lot.
But how
about his appeal.
Poorly was it promoted in LA? Because,
that's true too.
Quite honestly, I didn't realize that it was going on in LA. I knew Lomachenko was fighting, but I had no idea it was in LA.
Yeah.
I was at that same venue, or right by that venue, for one of the 214 press conferences. And not one poster I saw about it outside of, like, not one thing about it where you think like, I'm sure Top Rank was more focused on the money driven from ESPN ad revenue or something like that. But I mean, you got to fill up the arena when you can, and if you want to make a big star, you got to have a big gate.
Right.
And Lomachenko is an otherworldly talent, and it should be acknowledged when you see the gate receipts. I got an acquaintance of mine. Shout out my man Hugo.
What up, Hugo? I'll know you.
Hugo was on Facebook showing pictures, and it was like, hey, I got moved down like 5 different sections because thanks LA for not showing up.
Exactly.
That shouldn't happen at a fight with a guy the caliber of Lomachenko.
Agreed. So that's really the fight out there. Lomachenko was one of the fights, and I want to speak to you about the Bisping, Luke Rockhold, and then GSP fight.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit of an interesting dynamic here because Rockhold thinks that Bisping shouldn't have the title. Is that, am I correct in that?
Bisping has had the title now. When he won it at UFC 199 against Rockhold, he knocked him out in the first round. I was there for that, but I was at the Forum actually.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So he knocked him out, and then afterward he fought Dan Henderson in England. I want to say it was about 3-4 months later. He fought him, beat him in a really close decision, and Dan Henderson was ranked outside of the top 10. And that was kind of a gift fight.
Right.
Dan Henderson definitely did not earn a legitimate title shot when it comes to pure sporting merit.
Right.
But anyway, Bisping hasn't fought since, and there has been a backlog of contenders at 185. We've seen Jacare, who was like the next obvious one up in line, and Romero, Nate. So Jacare gets knocked out by Robert Whittaker, who then fought Romero, who now is the interim, middleweight champion. And this whole time, Rockhold hasn't fought, and he's scheduled to fight David Branch in a few weeks.
That's right.
But it's like Bisping has kind of held up the division. Part of it is understandable because they're seeing money fights happening. You're seeing guys like Conor call the shots and whatnot. But at the same time, like, all these divisions are getting clogged up, and this is the most exciting 185 has looked forever. I mean, when Anderson Silva was the 185-pound champion, he lorded over that division so hard that it was like everybody else looked pretty bad.
Yeah.
And now we've seen a good contender in Gegard Mousasi leave the UFC, go to Bellator.
Oh, wow.
Seen Jacare get knocked out, as I said before. David Branch has come back, which is a good thing. But it's just, if Bisping was fighting the people he was supposed to fight when he was supposed to fight them, a lot of this wouldn't be going on. And now GSP is coming back, which, and that opens up a whole nother can of worms, because GSP, who previously was refusing to fight at 185 when the super fight when Anderson Silva was being floated out, when they were both long reigning champions in their primes, and he said, I can't make that weight, without this big amount of sacrifices. That now he sees Bisping is the champion. Now he wants that fight, and he's not fighting Tyron Woodley. It's like, if you're coming back and you were the welterweight champion, if you're not going to take a tune-up fight at welterweight, you should be fighting Tyron Woodley, who's the champion. That fight's apparently off the table now. Like, I think it's just, it shows a great deal of fuckery is probably the best word I can use to describe it.
There we go.
And I get it. It's a business.
That is a perfect
the UFC just got bought out by WME-IMG for like $4.2 billion, and they got to make some of that money back, so they're trying to put on these big fights. But I think a lot of the pure sporting aspect of what we should expect from the #1 mixed martial arts promotion in the world is being lost in translation. So
fair enough. Speaking of Tyron Woodley, I'm glad you brought him up.
Yeah.
The dynamic between him and Dana, what's your take on that?
Oh, poisonous. Poisonous. Like, now I was at the post-fight presser for 214, and I shouldn't have been amazed by this, but I was in stunned, just pure amazement that Dana White is up there just riding on Woodley in this post-fight presser, and it's like, you got to promote this guy later, right? And I've made a little bit of the rounds talking about this, because I think there's a certain race element to this too, with the way fans and promotion perceives Tyron Woodley. And I'm not going to get into that unless that's the direction we want to go in. Which, hey, I'm all for it.
I like to have Yash here to have a counterpoint, because he's our resident UFC guy.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm sure me and Josh we'll definitely rap about this. Got the accent shout out.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to the people on his set.
That's right.
Yeah, so I definitely am pretty outspoken on a lot of that stuff. But that aside, I think it's pretty silly. If you're gonna sell us an event later on, Tyron Woodley is on the card, you want people to buy it, right? So you may not want to talk bad about the guy, especially considering the matchups that he's been given and what he's been able to do with that. Damian Maia is one of the sickest guys ever on the ground in mixed martial arts history. Woodley did the smart thing by not fighting his fight. Like, I don't understand what it is. Like, obviously, if they're gonna ride that hard against him in a victory, how hard are they gonna ride for him in defeat?
True.
And his best negotiating tool is that belt. Keep that belt, get your money.
Yeah.
Case closed.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with Demetrius. He doesn't have the most exciting fights. They're boring fights, but he's winning.
And and he does finish a lot of his fights.
Yeah.
DJ, I mean, when he just finished Wilson Hayes some months back, like he literally snatched the guy out the sky and just beat the crap out of him and choked him out. And, I mean, like DJ is amazing, and this is it's funny too that you bring up DJ because the next UFC pay-per-view, which is going to be on the 9th of September, I believe, UFC 215. So the headliners are Amanda Nunes versus Valentina Shevchenko and Demetrius Johnson versus Ray Borg. Great fights. However, the two champions that will be defending their belts also were just destroyed publicly by Dana White.
Yeah.
So now, after you just called out Demetrius Johnson for not accepting the fight that you said he should have accepted, and you went out publicly to lambast him, and you publicly called Amanda Nunes hard into question when she had, I don't know, she had trouble making weight, or that, well, she made the weight, but apparently she wasn't feeling well the day of the fight and whatnot. So yeah, that might cause a big headache for the company and for promotional purposes. But if you do plan on promoting these guys again, don't talk shit about them. It
makes sense. Yeah.
It just makes all the sense in the world. So now you got an event with these two people headlining, and you want people to buy it, but you don't talk shit about them.
Yeah,
not but
nice.
weeks ago. So now you're gonna get on the commercial and say the best pound for pound fighter in the world, Demetrius Johnson, and the most destructive female fighter in 135 in Amanda Nunes. You pick a narrative.
Yeah, it's gonna be
You
tough.
want the narrative that's gonna make you money, or you want the narrative that's gonna be a low, shitty pay-per-view buy rate.
Yeah. We had an interesting discussion on Facebook about a narrative.
Oh yeah.
Of Colin Kaepernick.
Hold on, let me polish off the X right here.
That's
Make
what
sure
we
they
call
can see the
guys
X on this hat.
a segue. That's what we call a segue. So yeah, we were discussing it again.
I like the segue. That was nice.
And again, we would like to have Yash here because he sees things just a tad bit differently than me and Anto.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Just a little bit back to the story. Colin Kaepernick took the 49ers to the Super Bowl just a few years back. Broke my heart. He took my Falcons down, scored a touchdown, took them to the Super Bowl. They ended up losing that Super Bowl. But ever since then, he's been on a downward trajectory. And now he's out of the league. A large part of that was production. He didn't finish strong. But another part of that, which seems to be the main narrative, is that Colin Kaepernick happens to be pro activist. He has to be pro black rights, pro or against police brutality, and he's made some very outlandish statements. I guess you'd call them outlandish. He's made some very strong statements, whether it be with his shirts, stuff he said in the media, and again, me and Anto seem to agree that his heart is in the right place and what he's trying to accomplish is in the right place. But he's been blacklisted by the NFL because he has a position. A good friend of mine said they're using Colin as a make an example out of him, that you can't really make a political statement and still be able to do your job, which we find to be it's just ridiculous. Like, you should be able to have a job and to be able to have your own opinion, be your own person. So, yeah, I mean, what do you guys weigh in on this?
I don't know enough about it, but you should be able to have your own opinion. It shouldn't affect whether or not you can throw and catch a ball. What do they have to do?
They don't.
Yeah. There's so many angles to dissect the shit out of this. There's so many ways to shred this up. First off, I want to attack this narrative of patriotism being so closely aligned with racist ideals. And I think the two are so intertwined in a case like this, because patriotism has led black people, brown people, Hispanic people of all these different colors and creeds to go fight in American wars, fight for their country and do all this. And I understand people are offended by the flag being disrespected, but I'm gonna shut all that shit down. You know, it's not about the flag being disrespected. It's about this is about someone standing up against a system. You know, this is an excuse to deflect from the issues of trying to change the system itself. Now, because these people that were screaming about patriotism, their ancestors were not screaming about patriotism when black people that were coming home from the war were being lynched in full uniform. And they fought for this country. And they, and they bled and they took bullets and stab wounds and lost body parts for this country, yet they came home to Jim Crow laws and getting lynched. So don't preach to me about disrespecting the flag, because I think that's more disrespectful to the flag than taking a knee. Right. And keep in mind, soldiers, they're out defending our freedoms across the world and whatnot. Don't they defend the freedom to protest? That's right. The freedom to have your own thinking ability and freedom of speech? That's right. So isn't it the most American thing in the world to protest? Right. To say, I am upset by the way things are happening and I want to stand up for myself about it. That is the most American ideal. That is the ideal that founded this country. That is America. Yeah. That is it. That is it. Right. Yeah. Get it out. And please, to everybody listening, please, if another one of you motherfuckers decides that you want to bring up Martin Luther King as an example, Martin Luther King wouldn't have stood for this, fuck off with a broomstick, please. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Martin Luther King was an agent of change because he disrupted things. That's true. He was disruptive. Protest is something that's meant to be disruptive. That's and right. If the level of disruption comes from someone just kneeling down, quietly kneeling down, shut the hell up. Don't say nothing to me about that.
MLK had 1 million people marching.
Marching. So it's so amazing to me because, all right, so now, granted, if there's a riot going on, that is not good. That is not a good look. That does not help anybody's cause. Although there's an understandable amount of anger and frustration and resentment that builds up to lead to that point. Right. And that's a topic for another day. Right. But if you want to complain about a riot, I get it. Right. It's destructive. It's not good for society. All right, fine. All right, so other ways of protest. All right, let's hold a rally. Oh, you're blocking traffic. Right. You're being disruptive. Right. Oh, you're singing, you're marching, you're being disruptive. Yeah. You kneel, you're being disruptive. So if you got something to say against the way Colin Kaepernick chose to protest, please give me a suggestion. How? And don't say no stupid shit about, he should have said something at the press conference that 4 people watch. No. That's not it. Come on now.
Write a strongly worded letter. He should have wrote a strongly worded letter to your congressman. No,
and why are these people not even talking about the fact that this show of patriotism, NFL games, is purely a show? Right. The Department of Defense actually pays the NFL to display all this stuff, to have the national anthem, to have the bands come out that representing different branches of the military and 21 gun salutes and all that. The military pays for that. That is paid marketing. And you fools, you're standing up for that? Yeah. You might as well stand up for a Coca-Cola commercial because it's the same thing. It is advertisement. Yeah. Green money. Yeah. It's advertisement. It's about green and nothing else. Yeah. So let's knock this off.
The semantics, all about Kaepernick. I hope he gets a job. Again, I hope he gets a job. I hope he takes the team to a Super Bowl and just rubs it in all the owners' noses because, he's just making a statement and trying to make an example out of him. And I just don't agree with it. Like Ann said, it's just a deflection from the reality. There's an issue with police brutality, and Kaepernick is trying to raise awareness about that. And he did it. It worked, and people don't like it. And instead of being like, we don't like it, they say, his production went down, or he's an idiot for wearing a t-shirt. Guys, it's not about that. It's totally not. These are just minor anecdotes to the larger narrative.
And we got murderers, rapists, domestic abusers.
And nobody says anything.
In the NFL.
We brush that aside.
Raleigh Cooper.
As long as
Raleigh Cooper.
And the statements he made.
Dropping M-bombs.
Yeah, absolutely.
Dropping M-bombs like David Duke.
And he's still
and this fool in the NFL.
He's still playing. Nobody said it.
Nobody complaining about that.
Nobody took a knee. Nobody had anything to say. It was totally fine and dandy. But yes, a guy, and as you mentioned, it's a peaceful protest. It's not like he was out there like dancing on the flag or something. Yeah. The guy was just taking a peace. He took a knee, just meditated. He's sitting there. It wasn't anything that people will find to be offensive, other than they want to find a reason. They want to find a reason.
Yeah, anyway. You remember in the NBA something like that happened. Yeah. I can't remember the player's name. Yeah. But I know he was a Muslim player, and he didn't want to salute the flag or do the national anthem. I forget whichever one it was. Yeah. And I remember him getting, like, the NBA was okay with him not being out there for the national anthem.
Yeah.
But what he ended up doing, like I think what ended up getting him blackballed was that. Excuse me. Damn, that's not a good look. Sneezing on the podcast. That is not a good look.
Well, you're human too, and are you? You are human, so these things happen.
That is true. That is true.
Yeah.
But yeah, but I think what got him ousted was perceived disrespect, which what he was doing, I can understand people feeling disrespected when you have the option to just not be out there and you're not necessarily protesting against anything. But he would come out there and would make sure he was sitting down on the bench. He was seen like kind of like walking around and just kind of shuffling around and in an unnecessary display.
Gotcha.
But we have somebody that was standing up for something that is a very just cause, because I, along with pretty much every other minority in the country, has been the subject of improper police conduct. And it's something that needs to be stood up for.
Absolutely. We don't want to go into a
sorry, I kind of went off.
But we had it's totally fine. We had a situation where we had to address it. It had to be addressed.
And so you're entitled to your opinion, and that's the whole point.
Well, thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. That's why it's the Badass Funcast podcast.
Getting treated with respect out here in these Santa Monica streets.
That's right. Thugging out here, thugging in Santa Monica.
So hold on. Let's move on to a little lighter subject. It is the Badass Funcast podcast. We talk about fights, fun, fitness, everything in general. You got the Spider-Man shirt on. What'd you think of Homecoming?
I loved Homecoming. Tom Holland was an incredible Spider-Man. He was an incredible Spider-Man. I love the way that they've included him in the MCU. It's just perfect. It was just perfect. Like, I saw some things were complaining about all the tech that he had in the suit, that it was like too much like Iron Man.
Okay.
But I think that was done intentionally. I think the purpose of that was to show that Spider-Man did not have a good grasp on his powers yet. And he's still a teenager. Yeah. They actually had Spider-Man be a teenager, and it wasn't Tobey Maguire with the 5 o'clock shadow pretending like he's still a high school sophomore. Like it was like an actual and Andrew Garfield too cool for school. Like he was like the smoothest cat in the whole school, and you mean to tell me he's the outcast? Come on now, bro. Like, we're not buying it. And, Tom Holland was perfect. It's made me really, really look forward to everything else the MCU has to offer. I mean, they're batting 1,000 right now. They can't be stopped.
The suit, though, if you see the way they set it up, when the suit's talking, they actually set it up for a video game perfectly.
Oh, yeah.
If you've ever played a Spider-Man video game or any of those video games, they set it up where the suit guides you through the walkthrough. That's exactly what's going on. I was like, that's a video game scene right there. Right? I already wanted to play it. It has me hooked on all of it. They set it up perfectly for Infinity Wars, everything else in the future.
Man, I can't wait for Infinity War.
Yo, it's going to be great.
Did you see the leaked trailer of Infinity War on YouTube? No. So like every year at Comic-Con, when they debut all these trailers, they apparently, like, if you get into the hall where they shut off, they try to take all the phones or make sure they're off so people don't record these trailers that they just want for Comic-Con. But every year somebody sneak one in, and they got the little angle where they popping the phone up like this and whatnot, and catch some little awkward shot of the screen. So I watched it, and it looked good, but I have a hard time enjoying it because your man's shoulder was all in the way. It was crooked and whatnot. So I'm looking forward to the HD release, and we can actually see the trailer the way it's meant to be. And they had footage from the Punisher show that they haven't released yet. So they're probably going to do that after Defenders, which I think comes out next week. Oh my goodness. Well, I will disappear on the 18th, and I will reemerge sometime later on the 18th after binging all the shows.
It is.
Ordering pizza and chilling.
Oh yeah, I got like a few Defender shirts too. I've got like probably 20 shirts altogether of the Defenders or the individual characters. So I'll probably rotate. I'll probably wear a different shirt every episode.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, I might do that.
That's a little too in depth for me.
And I went too nerdy right there.
Yeah, these dweebs I'm with. I went and got these.
I'm the sexiest dweeb out here.
I got some Defenders underwear. I just wear those. It has them all on there. We'll just keep that on the whole time.
I got some Avengers draws. I gotta get some.
Ain't nobody asked about all that.
The ladies right there may wonder what type of drawers is Big Daddy wearing. They just might be thinking that.
Well, now you know.
Now you
Now
know.
you know, ladies.
Now you know.
No need to go see for yourself. But now you
My
know.
girl will cut you.
Hey.
Well, guys, I think it's a great podcast.
Absolutely.
Anto, thanks for stepping in.
Thanks for having me.
Josh will be back next week.
Yep.
We'll have Anto back again.
Yeah, whenever. Just hit me up. I'm always around.
Absolutely. Thanks for having us.
Anything?
No, hey guys, just want to say farewell to Usain Bolt. He retired. Vladimir Klitschko's done. No more Anthony Joshua fight. He's done. And Timothy Bradley, they all hung him up. So best of luck to them in their future endeavors. They retired. And yeah, that's all I got today. That was all I had for the show.
That's it, guys. That's it for the Badass Funcast. We'll see you next time.
Stay sexy,
Thanks
y'all.
for watching, guys.
Peace.
Boom.